Hello everyone, my name is Apoorv Bajaj and I am the solution consultant and tech lead for partners here at Google. Today's topic is very important and many of us are already searching about it is how Google interview process looks like and how Google hires. I love to share some very important tips, key focus areas. So do make sure that you watch this video till the end. So there are about 4 to 5 rounds of each interview, which will be a knockout round, right from getting a call from the interviewer, a LinkedIn message, or an email direct from Google HR team, till the time you will join Google and in real, right? So there are about 4 to 5 knockout rounds that will be there. So coming back to round number one, it will be an HR round come screening round to identify the gaps in your current role and responsibilities versus what is offered here at Google. If you are the right fit for the role, you have the right basic education, the type of projects that are required, area of interest, and current work stream and organization, you would know in a day or two that if you're going ahead with the next round of interviews or not. The first round of interview, the main real round is RRK. So the RRK is role related knowledge. It could be tech, it could be coding round, it could be verbal only basis on the role that you're applying for and basis on the requirement for the role. So just for an example, in my case, in a tech lead or a solution consultant role, there'll be uh, a real round where you have to write SQL queries, JavaScript code, and there'll be some verbal tech queries as well that the interviewer would be asking you. It could be simple from writing a small query for getting an output for some data, and it could be right from the what are the best technologies that we can use for privacy and security online today. So depending on the role that you're applying for, it is very important to make sure that you have full understanding of the tech piece which is required, because this is again knockout round. You have to make sure that you perform well, the best that you can in this role. So before you appear, make sure that you are 100% confident and you are able to grasp the requirements that are there for this role. The second round, which will be after the results of the first round, would be a leadership come CGA round. So CGA is nothing but general cognitive ability, which shows about how much experience you have and the ability to pick up tasks quickly. For an example, if you're responsible, you take full responsibility and then you're accountable for taking the task in your own hands and then you deliver on it. And how do you arrive at certain solution? What deep dives you have done before taking your decisions? And it is very important that you showcase some of those attributes, that you have a leadership skills, you have performed well in the past, and you will be taking full responsibility of your work going forward. You'll be also judged on some other parameters, but the idea is to make sure that you are completely aware about how Google hires. So moving on, there'll be a round on Googliness. So what Googliness actually means? It means some of the basic things right from the beginning. Let's say if you have set up a meeting, right, and you're not able to make it up to that meeting, so you need to be cautious and you need to pre-inform the other meeting owners or the stakeholders that are there on that call to that you will not be able to uh, be available for that meeting, and if anything is required, then they should check with you, and if you are going to present something, to make sure that you send it across. So these are small example of what googliness looks like. It also some of the attributes where you are aware about the situation, you can take responsibility as well as you deliver on time. At Google, we take the quality over quantity. That means if you have done a task or a project in the past which has stood out and have led you, you have seen yourself grow with that project, definitely bring it to the table and share your knowledge with the interviewer. The second great point that I would like to discuss as well is what you have done in the past. You have to make sure that you put it across in a method. That means they are about methods like consulting methods. They're about the the frameworks that are there. Let's say, for an example, there's a STAR method, STAR. That means the situational, task, action, and results. So you can put your question, put your answer in a way that you answer it like, what was the situation? What were the tasks that you performed? What was the action that you have taken for that for the situation, and what was the result? Very, very important factor again is a great tip from my end, that you definitely have to use a real world example. It could be from your professional as well as from your personal life, but I would definitely recommend you use something which is professional in nature and there was an impact. By impact, it doesn't always mean that it has to be positive only. It could be a negative impact as well. It could be something that led to a result which is not in the favor of the company, but you learned something from it and you did that mistake, but you will in the future you will not repeat that mistakes and you have learned from it. So these are the kind of examples that Google is looking for. The fourth round, or what we call a cross-functional round, would be somebody from your internal stakeholder in your real job process. So let's say if you have applied for a tech role, a software role, or in my case, a solution consultant role, then a cross-functional team could be GTM, or it could be from the sales team as well, where they'll be asking you the question which comes in from the perspective of business. That means, do you have the knowledge, a basic knowledge that is required to do a task? Or let's say if you are given a project, you need to know, why is this project important to the company? Why is it important to the customer? And with that project, what would be the impact or the outcome of the project, and how can you drive business with that project? So something like that. You need to know the actual attribute of that particular task that you have performed in the past or you are going to do in the future, as well as what is the business aspect to it, or what is the impact that you can actually drive doing that project. So need to make sure that you choose wisely, and at the same time you need to showcase that you have some capability and knowledge of how things are working together, and what are the collaborations that you have done with different teams, how you have performed under pressure, how you have taken out the full responsibility and led a project end to end with the help of collaborating with your internal stakeholders, with your teammates, and things like that. So one of the very common example, or the question that interviewer may ask is, tell me about a situation, or tell me about an example where you have where you were stuck. So after that, after let's say you have completed your cross-functional round as well, the final thing that happens is the package collection. That means right from the beginning, your interview documents, your current organization work, your historical education, and all of those. And that also includes the results or the feedback from each round that happens. So even if you have completed or cleared all rounds, it doesn't qualify for you to get hired at Google. You still have to get your package reviewed, then that is the work that HR does. So it's again come down to if you are strong enough, or if you are the right candidate for the role. So even if after you clear your package, then after that it will be an extent of offer letter. You will definitely get the best of the best industry-based package, or I would say the salary, and the hiring process would be smooth after that. I'd also like to cover some additional points here, that some of the examples of, as I mentioned before, about what behaviors or situational based real world problems are. So one of the examples that I have here is, tell me about a situation where you got stuck and how did you manage to come out of it, and what was the impact? So the answer could be that you led a project or a process, or for your it could be from your personal life as well as from your professional experience. But I would definitely recommend a professional real world example, because that is something uh, the interviewer is looking forward. Now, one of the example, let's say it could be like, today, tomorrow you wake up, you get a call from Sundar Pichai, who's asking you to rebuild YouTube right from the scratch. So tell me about some of the steps that you would take to go ahead with the project. So here, most of the people, what they do is they jump right onto the solutions. Although the first step would be to cross question the interviewer or cross question Sundar Pichai in this case, that why are we building this? What is the need of rebuilding of YouTube? If that question or that hint is given to you, then you can move to step two. That do we have the budget? Do we know the audience? Do we know why are we doing this? Do we know the future aspect of this project? So that you are actually clear in your head that if you're picking up a project, why are you doing that? So you need to make sure that you ask lot of question, at least 2 to 3 questions in every round to an interviewer for every question that they ask you. And in the meantime, what you can also do, take 30 seconds. You can clearly inform the interviewer that give me 30 seconds and I'm thinking about how to formalize or how to formulate my answer to the question. And within that time, you can jot down points that is coming onto your mind. Frame it in a star method. That is the best method to use here at Google for the interviews, for the answers. And then once the once you have framed the answer, you need to communicate back to the interviewer that this is what you're thinking, these are your assumptions that you have taken for your answer, and these are the data points that you have gathered. Once that is complete, then you have to speak up your answer in about 5 minutes, I would say would be the best. And then if you get any cross question, definitely do clarify and don't just jump into your assumption or think about it in your mind itself, but need to make sure that think about the complete process of why the interviewer is asking for that question, and at the same time need to make sure that you provide them with the 100% that is coming into your mind. So the last quick tips that I have for you is you need to update on your social accounts with 95% filled and good connections from across the companies, especially for Google here. You need to be very social in nature, and you need to make sure that any team that you're applying for, you need to have your connection in the same team. Second would be keep looking out. The third would be to ask for a referral from a friend or colleague or connection, and that also improves your chance of getting a call for the interview. The fourth would be definitely to stay positive and optimistic, and at the same time, you need to take the right decision to make sure that you at least got a call for the interview. The last point that I would like to make today is keep up with the technology, know your skills that for which you're applying for, understand the interview methodology and also the consulting methods. And yep, that's also all the best for your interview rounds.